As we gear up to say goodbye to 2020's daunting days of battling the coronavirus and a pandemic, the medical community foresees a fierce fight as 2021 rolls in.
What's really on my mind and heart right now is the pandemic, and watching unnecessary disease and death. It's just sort of tearing me apart.
Mid-November, COVID-19 ravaged the Navajo Nations. The 27,000 square foot area, which spans parts of Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah, was on lockdown for 3 weeks due to an uncontrolled spread. Previously closed parks and recreation areas will remain shut down until 2021.
The best thing to have happen would be to have a national lockdown.
The CDC has already issued articles for February 2021 related to controlled measures for long-term care facilities. Several universities, including Florida A&M, are punting the plans they had for several spring sports.
For Florida A&M, those roads crossed on Wednesday, canceling football, volleyball, and indoor track and field for this spring.
And many college administrators have crashed the ritual spring breaks.
We decided we would start the semester a week late, February 1st, to avoid the most challenging time of the year where flu, virus, and COVID could interact. And that would give the students a little bit longer of a break between semesters, and we would then forego the spring break.
I was on death's doorstep.
COVID-19 survivor Graylin Young and his family are blessedly awaiting a new year to take off. In March, he flew back from his brother's funeral in New York. He had no idea that once he arrived in Atlanta, a few days later, he would land in a hospital on a ventilator in a coma.
Of course, the idea of dying crosses your mind pretty heavily. You're struggling like that for your breath. You start thinking about, is this it? Is this the final breath I'll be taking?
So what have we learned about COVID-19? Dedicated doctors and frontline workers have learned how to save more lives because of scientific findings, says infectious disease expert Dr. James Hildreth, the president and CEO of Meharry Medical College.
At first, when people went to the hospital, if they were placed on a ventilator, there's a great likelihood they would not survive and leave the hospital. But the clinicians have gotten really good, or much better, I should say, at treating COVID-19. And so now I think there's a 30% mortality rate for people in ventilators, when at first that was much higher. So I think the treatment is better.
But clinicians also learned the entire body can be viciously attacked.
We now know that the virus is not just limited to causing problems in the lungs. It causes problems in our blood vessels. It has the potential to have create neurological deficits.
There's Harvey.
Graylin had some high hurdles to get over: temporary dialysis, a heart rhythm issue, an ulcer, blood masses, excruciating pain. His left side was paralyzed.
We love you.
We love you.
Hey, old man. Daddy.
After being released for nearly spending a couple of months in the hospital, Graylin's wife wept as he prepared to go to a rehab facility for 32 days. Still today, he has a team of specialists and therapists who work with him.
So it's a full extension.
Well, let's do some dishes.
And my wife is thrilled that I'm able to stand long enough to wash the dishes again. So she's thrilled about that.
We use a lot of forks and spoons in this house.
There's no way that 1,000 people should be dying every day in the United States of America that spends $3.5 trillion a year on healthcare. It's just, I'm sorry, I get a little emotional about this because there's so many people dying who don't have to die. And it's just going to accelerate the longer we wait. And that's why we need a national strategy.